And welcome back. Today we are flying out the F3D. Gets an air spawn, 4 A&M3s at 7.0. Top speed is kinda mid, not the greatest, not the slowest. Turn rate depends on your speed. At higher speeds this thing does compress quite a bit, making it kinda unwieldy at like 750 to 800 plus kilometers an hour. But it is what it is. At lower speeds the flaps are actually pretty damn strong. The problem is finding people that are willing to go slow with you. And with all the SU-11s and LA-200s around, you can maybe see where the problem stems from. The benefit, however, is you get an air spawn for that early game power, and with the air spawn you can climb a little bit, you can go a little bit slower than usual because you have that altitude advantage, and then you have the 4 A&M trees that make short work of anyone you point them at. Long story short, I try to get as many kills early game as I possibly can. Late game this thing is not very great. Early game I'm trying to intercept everyone that might be able to start killing my team. Like this 262 that's going into my team on his own. It's probably A1U1 looking at the air spawn and the altitude that it has. And I don't want him to go head on with 3 or 4 people to instantly put my team on the back foot. Just Noodle, Super Noodle, hope you're watching the video. Nice weekend or something. So right now I killed that guy and I want to just turn back around, but I don't want to do it too quickly because I don't want to put myself in a very bad position. I did just save 2 of my teammates indirectly, probably, of course you can't really say that for sure. But looking at the willingness of US players to head on a 262 with 6 cannons in the nose, probably 2 or 3 guys that would have gone down to him. But now there are some guys that are kind of loitering at a higher altitude and I don't want to go in there, put myself in a very bad position, especially when I have a team around me that can actually distract them. So for now I'm just gonna wait for the 262s and stuff to settle, go a little bit lower, and now look at that, just about 20 to 30 seconds of waiting and I'm now above them instead of the other way around, making it so that I can dictate the fight, I can dictate who I want to shoot at, and I can dictate who is gonna go for me and who isn't. We do have a meteor on the top right over there, but it's probably a Mark III. I hope it's a Mark III anyway, because the other sea meteors and stuff would have been much further ahead. He could have of course been side climbing for a little bit, but you gotta take some risk sometimes, especially when your plane isn't the top dog of the match. My team cleans up 2 of them, I clean up the 3rd one. He's going very slow, very easy shot. We gun him down, and now we secured about 3 to 4 guys very early on without too many losses on our own, which is exactly what you want to happen in this thing. So right now we're gonna do the exact same thing again. We are gonna side climb a little bit and we are gonna be looking around. We have Nionyx over there, he's probably in the 262A, looking at his altitude and his position on the map, and the Kika is next to the Meteor. So all in all I think those are all the 7.0 and the 7.3 variants, making so that I do not really have to rush in there and get myself killed instantly. F3D-1 takes down a very high priority target, the BF-110. And we will be turning back into the match, because I'm expecting those guys over there to start diving in on my team. And what I don't want to happen is for me to be flying away, them to do their attacks, and then I come back in after their attacks are done. This is just wasting my teammates, sacrificing them for basically nothing. And for now, I'm gonna go for Nionyx, he's on his own over here, and those other 4 guys over there are engaging a few planes. It's about 3v4, but we have an LA-200 and an F3D-4 in there, which might actually be able to just simply outrun them. So I'm gonna go for this guy, because I don't want him to turn back around the second I engage them. Got a pretty nice shot in, so we deal with him pretty quickly. And now we can turn back around and actually help out the teammates that we just kinda left alone. But in all reality the LA-200 was never in any danger, and the F3D-4 had backup of the F-80 as well as some teammates on these sides of the map that were converging to the middle. Now of course if my teammates just started to dogfight them, especially the LA-200, would have been a bit of a waste. But so far so good, everything is going according to plan. The Meteor is just flying straight, we got a pretty easy shot on him, we gun him down, and then we will turn back into the 262 here. We just go head on a little bit. F-80 was about to overshoot, and that's going to be kill number 5, last guy of the match, and then their last guy is just going to be flying around until he gets eaten up by about 6 people at once. Not going to bore you with that, instead we are going to go straight into the next game, and we will be doing, well, virtually the same thing. We start going for the guys with the air spawn. I turn the radar off because it simply just obstructs too much of my vision. We go head on with him, we take pretty hefty chunk out of his plane. He tries to commit in the head-on. I am not going to be taking that. No reason to do that. It's going to be more of a 50-50. He's already completely crippled to begin with. So we just go up a little bit. We drop our flaps to increase our turn rate just that tiny amount. I also want to go a little bit slower so I can actually stall on top of him. But in reality it doesn't really matter because he's already completely fucked up to the first head-on that he took with us. Now we can do the same thing as we have been doing throughout the video. We go straight in. This time the cutoff to the 262 wasn't as lengthy, so we can just keep on going into that team and see who presents himself, who is someone that I need to kill. And at this point I'm mostly looking at who pitches up for me. And if there's no one that pitches up for me, I want to go for people that I need to kill right now, because I probably can't later on in the game. This 262 here thinks about pitching straight up for me. Very bad idea, you're going way too slow for that. Now he's basically started my guns. We shoot him a little bit, set him on fire, we shoot some more. We pull into the meteor here, he turns the other way, because I was indecisive for a very small amount of time and it makes us miss the shot. So for now, I got everyone kind of turning for me. All of these guys lost a lot of speed trying to kill me right there, trying to dodge me. So now I'm just going to stay on the deck. I'm going to keep my speed about 800 kilometers an hour. And I'm going to put it into a very shallow climb towards my team. And if these guys think about following me in, it's essentially the same thing as what we did at the start of the match. They now have way more energy. And they can all start picking their targets like I just did. And this makes it a very strong asset for the team. Being able to disrupt the enemy in their early game. Where they can't really set up, where they kind of have to side climb. Where they have to go head on with you. And no one wants to go head on with 4 A&M trees. So right here I'm trying to tell this F3D-4 here to turn a little bit to the left. So I can start engaging the meteor on the 6 and the entire blob that's next to him. Because what I don't want to happen is the F3D-4 flying to the wrong direction, no one being able to help him out because he's simply too fast, and then him eventually reaching the map border too far away, getting eaten up, and then us having to 1v5. That's something that we don't want to happen. Right now, we are in the exact same position as we were early game. Everyone again wants to go for us. This Daririo guy at the start said I was lucky last game, which already indicates to me that you are probably coming here to try and shoot me down. He's bringing his squad mate along to do it. So right now, I'm just going to be breaking off a little bit. I'm extending here, trying to make it so that the other 162 as well as the meteor in the background really can't go for me. And then I will gladly take the 1v2. For right now, I'm outrunning them. And I want to outrun them for a little bit, get a little bit of an altitude and energy advantage, waiting for one of them to get bored. And the second one of them breaks off, I am just gonna go full balls to the wall engaging. Of course, the 2v1 that I specified is a 2v2 because they had an F80 on their 6. I was not in a rush to kill them. All I had to do was wait a little bit until the F80 started engaging them. And the moment that he did, I was able to start coming in. And we are in a little bit of an advantage because of course they are just 262s and the A models. So the other 262 dives on me. I'm looking at what he's doing. I can't really pull after him because if I do, I am going to die. Because his squad mate of the guy that called me lucky is now chasing me down. Of course, I'm going to taunt him in chat because that's what we do when people call you out. And we are just going to fly straight for a little bit. Mainly to see what that Dugo Rosso guy is doing in the background. Because I want to 1v1 this 262 on my 6. But if the F80 breaks off and thinks about helping me, which is of course a noble thing to do, then I'm going to end up going about 6 to 500 with that other guy diving straight in for me. So for right now, I'm just going to let this F80 catch the 262. I'm going to put it into a very shallow climb and wait for him to break off. If then Dugo Russo breaks off, which he does, I can start engaging him because now the threat is completely subsided and all I have to do is just kind of try to reverse this guy. So we pull into him, we turn over his guns because, well, MK108s are just extremely damn slow. We go up and over. If he tries to follow this, he gets set up for the F80. He goes head on with the F80. He actually gets gunned down. Kind of unfortunate. And for now he needs to turn in, but he's going way too slow. So, matter of cleaning up. So we just spray a little bit. We miss everything. No big deal, because he's going to turn right back into our guns and we blow his wings off. And there you go. We then kill an 262A1U4 with a 50 mil in the head-on. Not a big deal, so I'm going to be cutting that one out. And here's a plane that I really like killing at the start of the match. Or at least crippling severely, so he can't really run away anymore. Junker 288. completely crippled. And we are just going to dive in on the SU-11, because the SU-11 is something you really do not want to deal with in the later stages of the match, and I really do not have to explain to you why that is. We have a bit of an altitude advantage here, and we can dive on him, cut him off, and I'm just going to full send it, because I need this guy to be out of the match. I do not want to deal with this man. So we shoot a little bit, we spray a little bit, and we set him on fire a little bit. Here comes the A21, and the A21 is one of those planes that you can kind of dogfight. I do not recommend it. It's definitely down to player skill, and I'm not sure which one will win, but it feels extremely sketchy when I do fight these guys, and most of the time when I win them, it feels like they just made a mistake, or in this scenario, it's pretty safe. I came out of a dive, I'm going a lot faster than he is, I have separation, I have altitude, and I still have about 750 kilometers an hour on the speed chart. So for right now, I'm just going to be putting it into a little bit of a shallow climb. I'm going to get a little bit more of an altitude advantage, and the second he gets kind of roughly close below me, I don't want to have him directly below me. I don't need that, because then people get kind of scared. What I want to do is I want to have him a little bit diagonal at like a 40 degree incline. And if he then tries to pitch up for me, he will just dump all of his speed away, just like right there. And I'm doing the thing where I kind of turn into him, so it looks like he's catching me, but in reality he's simply cutting me off. And the second he gets somewhere within gun range, I'm just going to do a hard pull, and he is going to fall straight out of the air. Would you look at that? Nowhere close. How nice it is to understand energy a little bit. He's going to stall directly below us. There is really nothing he can do at this point. He is going about 300, maybe 400 kilometers an hour. So we spray a little bit at him, and down he goes. On to the next match, and this is more of a down tier. We're fighting some props here, just like the last game, but the last game was kind of uneventful. Nothing else really happened after that one. So that's again a Junker 288, so we shoot a bit at him, we set him on fire, and he's definitely not going to be enjoying that one. He should be an easy kill for the rest of my team. So for now, we're just going to put it again into a little bit of a shallow climb. I don't want to waste too much energy that I just used to shoot at the bomber. And I want to make sure that I am set up for what's coming here, because we are fighting some props and they are going to have a little bit of an altitude advantage on us, because, well, prop planes just climb a lot better than we do. And because they have Russia, Germany as well as France, I'm expecting F8Fs, Su-11s, speak of the devil, as well as TAL-152s that get an air spawn. So I'm expecting a lot of guys above us, so I don't want to waste too much time at lower to mid altitude. Instead, I'm going to be looking around at my altitude now. I'm at 3.5 kilometers. The LA-9 and the F8F here aren't major threats. The F8F can be kind of annoying late game when he starts dive bombing you, especially if he has those gun ports on. But right now I notice the Su-11 is climbing at a pretty slow speed. He's also so far in front of his prop teammates that he is completely secluded and alone here. If I pitch up for him, try to shoot him down, the props are not going to get anywhere near me, so I should have a somewhat safe shot here. This is also the only time of the game, if the Su-11 doesn't make any mistakes, well, we will have a similar energy state. Right now he makes a crucial mistake where he tries to turn into me. If I hadn't hit that shot, he probably would have killed me, but we do hit that shot because he's going extremely slow and gives me a full broadside. And of course the 4 A&M trees make short work of basically anything. And that's the Su-11 out of the match, which is one of the main problems of this plane. So all in all, pretty strong start. And now I just want to be looking around, and the problem is there's another Su-11. But luckily, now there's only one instead of two next to each other. Because otherwise I would have had two Su-11s running me down. There's the TAL-152, as well as a prop of the LE9 and the F8F, and that combination is just an absolute freak show, considering my team consists mostly out of F2Gs and N1Ks, which is well less than ideal. But hey, it is workable. We are doing it again. We are holding back a little bit here, seeing how the game is going to develop. B29 gets gunned down by the TAL-152, and now we see in the chat, or in a kill feed, that it's actually the H model, and I'm not sure if I hate that less or more. But I think in terms of fighting them in a jet, the 152H is a little bit less annoying, because he has less roll rate, less high speed pull, and he has less guns with an extremely high velocity. The 152C can at least try to full commit you. The 152H is kind of just too slow, so I'm not really worried about him. I just want him to dive on me, so instead of trying to run away from him directly, We are gonna go diagonal again. He thinks right now that he's catching us, that he's cutting us off, and that he will eventually catch us. Anything is further from the truth. I'm also making it look like I'm going for the bomber, so the 152 right now is really intrigued by me, because he thinks I'm gonna pitch up here, stall myself out, and get myself killed. Right now I can actually, well, start shooting him anyway, so we are going to do that. So we spray a little bit, we get a crit on him, and we are gonna instantly break off. He is now even more committed to us, and we are gonna start diving out a little bit. As long as he's catching us, I will start flying straight away from him, and the second we start outrunning him again, we are just gonna turn a little bit and make him follow us. Thing is, he notices instantly that he's being outran, so he puts it back into a climb, so there's no reason for me to go diagonal. So we're just gonna go straight again and see if he gets bored. Maybe he wants to go for the N1K, because he is now going for the bomber. So we turn around, the 152 instantly turns back for me again. So we're gonna do the thing that we were going to do earlier on, and we are gonna go diagonal or sideways on and see if he wants to take the dive on us. And if he does, and if he actually commits to it, he will lose his energy advantage and he will just die. So right now, again, we're going a little bit diagonal, and I want to bring this guy as low as I possibly can. I don't want to get him too close. I also want him to break off constantly, make him look like I'm indecisive, and he will eventually start latching onto us. Right now we're just going to go straight below him. I'm going to dive a little bit more, and if he thinks about diving on me, he's going to put himself into a very bad position. I'm just going to fly directly under him. Perfect setup for a bait. And we just go straight for a little bit, and there's no chance he's ever going to catch us. Right now we are going about 840 speed, and eventually he is going to try the stick hit. And it's not going to happen. Right now I'm just ignoring the guy on my 6, and I will go straight for the LA9 that's directly ahead of us, because he looks pretty distracted, and we can probably pitch up for him, gun him down. The 152 will commit even harder, and then we just simply straight line it again. But the LA9 notices us, he wants to go head on. I don't want to go head on with him, because he's going pretty slow, and that head on is going to last forever. So if my guns don't just blast him out of the air, it's pretty risky. Instead, the LA9 will now go for someone else, and I'm gonna go for the Arado, because this 152 is being a little bit too passive for my liking. He doesn't really want to commit. With nothing wrong with that, that's how we should play it, by the way. I'm not flaming him, I'm just saying that's what I'm doing this. So I'm gonna pretend to go for the Arado here, see if the 152 wants to go for me. He does not. So instead of pretending to go for the Arado, we are actually just gonna put him into the ground. But then I notice it's a B model, and I'm just gonna be ignoring him. The LA9 here is gonna fly directly in front of us. We missed the shot, no big deal. And the 152 is still flying into the opposite direction. The LA9 is now committing to a full turn. As we are turning, I'm noticing the SU-11 coming head on with us. We dodge his shots, we manage to crit one of his engines, which is basically going to render him useless for the next bit of the match. And now who do I want to engage? The 152 is flying into the opposite direction. The SU-11 is burning even more speed, trying to catch me with one engine. And he is not going to be doing much, really. Look at that speed difference. Considering that's an SU-11, he is severely crippled. The LA9 is flying away from us, so he gives us a little bit of an ass shot. So we're going to take that at a decently long distance. Luckily he's pretty slow. Down he goes. And we will now go for the Arado here, since he's simply straight ahead of us. And then we're going to look at the Tal 152 and see if he actually wants to engage us, or if he's going to fly straight again and then do absolutely nothing again. The 152H actually does turn around. He goes for the F2G, and he commits somewhat to the fight, basically signing his death warrant. Once the 152 gets on equal energy with me on the deck, there is simply not much he can do anymore, because I'm just that much faster. The Arado gets cleaned up by the F2G, and right now the 152 is probably thinking about engaging the F2G. The F2G on the deck will eventually very handily kill the 152H. But he looks to be somewhat damaged, I'm not sure how badly. But the 152 is probably thinking about engaging the F2G, and the second he does, he is gonna go down. And there he comes. I need to save this guy, he's my last teammate. But the 152 really is not paying attention at all. So we're just gonna spray at him. I have plenty of ammo here, and I don't want to lose my teammate. We get a crit in, we shoot a little bit more, and off comes his wing. And that's the game. The SU-11 crashes on landing, and the Heinkel 177 is going to attempt landing. We will be strafing him out of the air as he's on final approach for the landing. And then we get gunned down by AA. And here we go again for the last match. There's a Horton right below us, and we want to kill him because, well, he's proving himself a pretty good target. And the Horton, when you're flying this thing, the Horton is actually pretty damn annoying. So I want to get those out as quickly as I can. We managed to get a crit in. Horton is rendered useless instantly because the Horton with damage is, well, it's simply useless. So we go straight back up. There's no one really around here, so instead of going to commit to the first Horton, I'm gonna be looking at the second one, unless this guy really wants to pitch up for me, because he's making it so that I can't really complete this turn. So I'm gonna make him stall himself out. He doesn't really have much of an option here because he's completely crippled and he just tried to get something out of the match. And we go head on with him. He's not gonna get the shot, he's simply losing too much speed and he really doesn't have the authority once he's crit. And the other Horton here is dogfighting one of my teammates and he's putting himself into exactly the same position. We take his wingtip off and then we set him on fire, as well as kill his pilot. And that's 2 Hortons out of the match very early on. We almost ram an ME410 out of the air. Would have been a bit of a dream tree of a glitch moment, because they really like doing that kind of thing. Right now we are going about 720, not the optimal speed that I like to be going at, but it's alright. There's no SU-11s around. There's an SU-9 however, but that thing is nowhere near as good. So I'm just gonna go for this first guy I see on the horizon here, which is a 262. That's also one on my left. I want to make sure that I don't get caught off guard by him. So we just go head on with this one. We miss our shots and we should be able to extend into this direction and simply dust both of these guys, because I had way more speed coming into the entry. He had to do a full 180 and there we go. We are simply safe because the guns of the ME262, as long as it's not the U1 or the U4, do really not have that much reach. So you should be safe around 700 plus meters, mostly even closer, but if you really don't want to push your luck beyond 700 meters, if you are paying attention, 262s are basically not going to be hitting you, unless of course it's the MK103 or the 50mm variant. And right now we're doing the exact same thing as we have been doing the entire match, or the entire video actually. We just kind of go in and out. We don't want to go into a prolonged fight. We go head on with this guy. We take something off his plane. He's going to be rendered almost useless. Crit 262 is even worse than an undamaged one, as you can imagine. So we recommit. We also take the Yak 15 down. This guy is going to be very greedy. We can head on this guy at pretty close ranges too, because it's again something with the MK108. It is a pretty boring to fly plane. It's because, well, you're kind of forced to play in a very ratty manner. You can't really take any fights because of the matchmaking. Stuff like the 262s aren't much of a problem. They really aren't. But if you want to be effective in this thing, you have to play it in a very specific manner, or you want to just go full suicidal, full commit the entire enemy team, which also works pretty well, because, well, it's pretty tanky, it turns decently well, and then there's of course those 4 A&M trees. This guy is on my 6, I'm outrunning him, and he has a guy on a 6. I get it, you're not going to reverse the A2D, but following me is even less likely to happen. So I'm not too sure what he's trying to do here, so I'm going to hit him with a message. If you are watching this, please let me know. I just don't understand this behavior. Thank you all for watching. See you all in the next one.